Here now is Tom Homan, former acting ICE director and Fox Business contributor. So, Tom, it looks like we're headed for a repeat of Del Rio, where, of course, all those thousands of Haitians just walked across an completely unprotected portion of the border. Meanwhile, we have millions of dollars worth of panels, of wall panels, just sitting in the rain. Taxpayers have already paid the bill for those. In fact, they're costing, we're paying construction companies $5 million a day not to build anything. And that's what's needed to keep these Haitians that are coming up from crossing the border. But obviously, those panels are not going to be put up in time, if at all.
You know, that's one of the most frustrating things I've seen in this administration. When Jen Psaki stood at the White House and said they stopped building the border wall because it didn't work, it was ineffective. The Secretary of Homeland Security, whose number one responsibility is secure this nation, protect our nation, and secure that border, they both have ignored the data. The data is clear. They go to the CBP website. It's easy to look at. Every place they build a border barrier, illegal immigration has decreased, illegal drug flow has decreased. Walls work. Walls stop or slow down illegal immigration. Walls save lives. But this administration is not about stopping illegal immigration, right? They're playing open borders. So there's no enforcement strategy for this administration. So if you look at where these groups coming through right now, they're coming where there isn't a wall. Yeah. Wall makes sense. You don't need to be an expert to get that.
Well, and meanwhile, they're just sitting there. They are just rotting literally in these big piles we're paying construction companies $5 million a day not to build anything. I mean, it just kills my sense of propriety about where my tax dollars are going.
Well, look, the Secretary of Homeland Security, he's an embarrassment to the position he holds. He's ignoring the border crisis.
But is he, let me just stop you, because you know the chain of command much better than anybody else. Is he responsible for this, or is he just taking orders from the president or whoever the president is listening to?
If he has any integrity, he would speak up if he thought he needed a border wall, and he knows that wall works. So him following the direction of the White House tells me he has no integrity. He is a Secretary of Homeland Security. His mission is to protect this country. If the White House is not letting him do it, then he needs to speak up. So I lay all blame on him. He's been the deputy secretary in 14-15. He knows what a surge looks like. He knows how we stopped it. We stopped it by detaining people. We stopped it with enforcement response and deported people. Now what he's doing, he's releasing people. He's not detaining people. They're not even seeing a judge. And ICE isn't removing hardly anybody. ICE has been decapitated under this administration.
Well, and meanwhile, the lures to bring immigrants here continue despite the dangerousness. I mean, you know, they continue to say we had to cancel the Trump immigration policy because it was so unhumanitarian. How humanitarian is it to draw people through the jungles of Panama? Griff Jenkins showed us these pictures of mass graves that are now being built for a lot of the immigrants who are not making it, who are literally dying in the jungle on the way here. That's humanitarian, and the Trump administration policy was not?
No, this policy, the policy of the Biden administration, is the most inhumane policy I've seen. 31% of women that make that journey get sexually assaulted. Children have died. Yeah, I talked to one border sheriff, just one sheriff on the border, has over 50 dead migrants he's found within his county. This is not a humane policy. The humane policy is keep the people south, remain in Mexico. They don't have to pay the criminal cartels we smuggle in the United States, so they don't put themselves in harm's way. Trump had it right. The Trump administration had it right. A lot less people were harmed under the Trump administration than under Biden administration.
Well, you talk about Mayorkas. I would focus on Kamala Harris, who is supposedly the border czarina, if you will. She was appointed in front of the cameras and everything. Rather than being in the border at all, she was in a New Jersey bakery doing some political handling there, and not at all involved in what's happening at the border. What would you say to her?
I tell her continue to stay the hell away from it because you just mess it up. She called ICE, compared them to the KKK. She claimed Border Patrol were inhumane to migrants. She's an open borders advocate. She will do nothing to improve the situation on the border. She hasn't got a clue. She's the worst pick President Biden could ever made. And he made it on purpose because they don't want to fix this. That's the issue here. This is by design. This is open borders. They don't want to fix it. That's why we put somebody like her as a border czar, knowing she will fail and she won't be successful.
Well, and talking about where the immigrants who are now in the United States are going, how they're being shipped around in secret to various places that might be used for political purposes. We got to bring you back, Tom, and talk about that issue as well. Tom Homan, great to see you. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it. Frustrating time for you.
Thanks for having me.